Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and I'm back down at Day and White's. Hopefully you've watched the first video when we took the engine out of the little Fulvia Zagato. That all went okay. It was pretty worn, the engine. If you have, I hope you have watched that video. I'm going to put a link up there. If you haven't, that's the part one. This is part two, and I expected not to come down here for a couple of months, but it's only about a week ago when the engine came out. I got a call from Gordon, and he says, I think you ought to have a look at what we've discovered in the rest of the car. Now, there was a fair bit of rot at the back, and they started to attack that, and it's all turned into a bit of a mare. Now, cars do this when you're restoring them. You discover stuff that you don't want to discover as you strip more bits off. So yeah, I've come down again to have a look at what nightmares we've uncovered on this car. Mask on, and I'm going to be behind the camera like the first video. Because of COVID, it's just a little bit trickier to do it, so I'm talking to a camera on a tripod rather than with an assistant. But anyway, let's go and have a look in the workshop, see what they found. Well, you've been busy, haven't you?
Yes.
It's not.
Getting that subframe right, getting everything right would be the most practical way forward, rather than half a job.
Well, actually, the first bit I want to see, you sent me that video and it was a horror story, wasn't it, when you were tucking at the back? Yeah. Can I have a look at the rot behind there?
Yeah, this is what led us down the path, because the actual drain hole pipes have been covered up at some point, meaning that water will just keep on running into that back section.
Yeah.
Whatever people do to half the job again.
This is, it's got a hatchback on this car, isn't it? And there's a drain hole, I'll show it in a moment, just around there. There's a bit of drain pipe, literally a drain pipe, that should go to the outside world, but no.
No.
It was actually
tucked in, metal plate, nowhere for it to go apart from create more corrosion.
So it just ends up with a bit of a fishbowl down there, sort of filled up with water.
Yeah, but this one you can still see tucked in behind here. And it should come out these holes here. One here, there should be one there.
Oh, there is holes there, they just didn't...
No, covered it up. Just covered it up. So that was never going to be a right.
That's never going to be. That is pretty rotten down there, isn't it? That's not a pretty sight.
No.
God, because the other funny thing, I asked you to see if there was any orange here on this car, and there hasn't been a lot of orange, has there really, you've discovered? Yeah. And at the back here, we think, well, tell us this bit. I'm quite interested what you found at the back here.
So obviously going back over the years, and as people haven't, someone's covered it up and kept repairing it. It's obviously had a little knock at some point, and rather than repairing it properly, they just filled it and covered it. But interestingly enough, there's some lead loading here, which is more original and keeping the sort of a quality of workmanship. But then there's been filler, and then there's red paint.
On top of the filler?
Yeah, on top of it, and then there's more filler, and then there's black paint.
There's a lot of filler there, isn't there?
Yeah, so at some point this has been stripped because you wouldn't put filler directly over lead loading.
So the lead loading, which is there, I just see it there. Is that from Zagato, when they actually built the car?
It could be. It could be, because it runs all the way across. If it was going to be anywhere, it would have been dead.
Right.
It's unlikely to have been added later.
Right.
Just unlikely, because all they do is fill it. And because these are all bespoke bodies, and that's the sort of time period that would have been formed.
It's the fact the filler is on top of the lead though.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's red. And also, this is what you found inside.
Yeah, so basically, this is like 4 kilos.
4 kilos of just rubbish and newspaper.
Yeah, up into the arch. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, hole.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
And a hole there. Weirdly, I know there's holes there, but I do like that this is all fairly solid underneath.
It's not. Some things haven't been done as well as they can do, but there's a lot of it that is good. And I'm not,
I'm clutching at straws a bit.
Too heavy in the paint. You see that sort of line that comes across here. This is the definition of the actual core. You'd see that as much more defined.
Yeah, that's a lot of filler through there.
Yeah, you can see it if you look down the side of the line of the door. You can see the marks and lines on it. I know black does show it up more than others, and even that depth, you can see the depth of filler on it all.
Yeah. There's a lot of filler. It's going to be quite a lot lighter, this car, time to finish, isn't it?
Much lighter it's going to be. Yeah, really. All the filler lines across that. It's to be expected, but not from a metal spray. You won't get that much.
No. But you don't like acid dipping then? It's just too aggressive, is it?
You're going to get people who are going to say, oh, you should acid dip it. But The other thing with acid dipping is it goes everywhere, in every orifice, in every corner, and it's twofold. So if anything's left, remains in it, and you try and paint over it, there's a problem. And also, once you've acid dipped it, you've got to get that primer on it as fast as possible. And if it's not all dried off, and then you have a little bit left staining in. So the real way to do it is graft.
Yeah.
And it's funny with the Zagatos, because they all seem to be a bit like this. They haven't got the Fulvias that have started doing stuff with, everything's going back and it's bare metal and stuff like that. But these haven't happened yet. So this is what we're getting a lot now, is that things are starting to, these are starting to now be done. But for the values they were getting, it wasn't really happening, and now it is happening.
I think it should be valued much higher, this car. I just don't, it's inexplicable to me.
There's a competition, this is designed for competition use. This is why the whole thing put together in the first place. And it just hasn't happened yet. I think they will. But the conditions, again, because it hasn't had that money spent like a lot of cars have, they're all in that £25,000 to £30,000 bracket.
Yes.
They jump considerably once the paintwork's done, because the paintwork is the most expensive thing you do.
Yeah.
And not knowing, once you get a photographic record of exactly how far it's gone, then you've got a commodity.
Yeah.
But not knowing exactly what's been done, just seeing a nice shiny car, well.
I think the only positive I've got on it, if we do a lot of hours in it, because it hasn't got many square meters of paint to do, the prep, because it's actually quite a tiny car.
There's no back doors.
Yeah.
There's two doors, front end, you're right, it's not and also there's not a lot of panel lines really.
No, it's all lead filled, I guess.
Well, that was what would have been, but you can see where the lines are sort of, just cracking up here. And most things, like even the roof here, you see it bubbling up.
Yes.
See that, all that's got to come back. And it's all, again, treatable. And the door itself, the corner of the door, that's that'll be cut off, panel put in here. But you want it all, that's got to be cut off. You can't just plop it up.
No.
Or,
Well, I almost feel I need to do it for that owner, Don, who had this and went through it and it wasn't up to his standard. And the poor bloke died when he never saw it finished. So, I just feel for him, I need to do it properly. And just because it's a big favourite with the family, and it's a cool thing. The critical bit, isn't it, on a Fulvia, is where the chassis meets.
Up here where the subframes go in, this is critical, obviously, on this model.
So that's threaded in, isn't it?
Exactly. But these are sound, even though they're not surface corrosion. The actual mainstay of the chassis has been repaired before. It can be tightened up, could be better. You see in here.
What, from rocks?
There's no impacts damage. So this line's all through.
Right.
So with this line,
all original.
It's all been repaired. I mean, even here, it's
right.
it's just not nothing's been done that well.
Right.
And not, by the way, with the history it's got, it's not these words I'd anticipate. You just want to get it all right. All little bits like this, where you see splitting a cone because of course you get stress fractures. It just made sense to take everything off it.
That's a non-standard part, isn't it? A little flap.
Again, it's where the water obviously gets thrown up, the debris gets thrown up from the wheel, it gets attacked and battered.
That's the sort of thing you used to do in the 70s, 80s for MOT,
it's not,
wasn't it?
It's half a weld, it's not welded properly.
It's just a crappy little bit.
It's added and added and added. It's more weight.
All that is not really a surprise.
No.
And then you've taken the subframe out, which is this big piece here.
Yes.
And these are the uprights. We just come to this first bit. That's an upright. And that's going to be aluminium finish, isn't it?
So this should be aluminium finish normally.
And they've painted it black.
This is an attractive finish. It makes it look like.
And there's the anti-roll bar bush, which is knackered.
Yeah. There's obviously
they should look like that.
Yeah. Same with these.
Oh God. That's that. All right.
We've prepared the arm already, ready to take the bushes.
Right.
So you can see how it's come together.
That's all good.
But again, the wishbones, which are these things here, we mentioned before. So these are the extended arm for the negative camber.
So they're longer at the bottom.
Longer at the bottom, shorter at the top. Cast is slightly different.
Cast is always good. You've shown me the shock absorbers.
Yes.
It didn't feel quite.
So again, we
as
took
good
these
as
off.
That one's good.
A little bit of tension on that one, which is great. And of course, this one drops straight down. Nothing in it at all.
Everything's gone off for measuring at the moment, hasn't it? These pistons, I couldn't get over when you sent me the shot of those piston rings, how loose they were.
These.
Top ones. Absolute shocker.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we can
sort that out. carburetors are a bit of a
The
worry.
carburetors, we knew from the video before that there's some sort of corrosion that was found in them. So we're going to go and get them cleaned anyway,
Right.
and just to sort of see how they come up,
See
because
if
they
they're
were pretty
actually
sound
usable.
itself. But the only problem was the consequence was from the fuel tank.
Oh yeah, I don't know if we're going to see this, but I'm going to poke the camera down there and see what you can see. If you can't see it, I'll add a photo.
Yeah.
There we are. Don't know. Anyway, there's corrosion in the bottom of the tank,
So we're going to
unfortunately.
put them in the cleaner.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, at this point, I'll stop and because I have these 45, Weber 45s, and just see if they work. These carburetors I bought, I reckon, about 1994.
Yeah.
And I had a racer LAN on 45s, and I thought, oh, these I'll get a spare set. So these have been sitting on the shelf in my workshop for 25 years.
Wow.
Is this the moment when finally I found a use for them? Of actually potentially putting them in on the Fulvia.
Yeah, good idea.
Because what got me, because that head's actually had head work on it, it has actually been opened up, hasn't it? So, because it runs 42 normally,
Yeah.
so these 45s, 3mm wider choke, but you still got to do the Venturian stuff.
Yeah.
But I was pleased because I can hear the float going up and down,
Yep.
and they work. I paid 50 quid-ish for these because back then nobody wanted 45s second hand, everybody just wanted the 40s.
Yeah.
These are genuine, so
Yeah. Oh well. Well, we'll see if they polish up. I can't believe 25 years I finally might have found a use for the
But it
bloody
is, if
thing.
I say something else,
Ah,
yes.
I knew. So I could say to my wife, you see, I told you why I bought those. I just didn't know it was going to take that long to find a job. Good.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll see how they clean up.
So that's the manifold.
Yeah, I've never liked it.
Right, so
Yeah.
effectively you can see you want to get as much
Yeah.
of a similar length, so that's something.
Oh,
not a great
right.
one.
Oh, that's what I love those.
Yeah, but
So-
it shows you, it's a very primitive one, but this is the sort of thing you'd be after
Yeah.
to actually get that maximum power out of the
I
carburetors.
like those. I just love the simplicity of
Yeah.
adding the best exhaust, the best
Yeah.
intake.
Yeah.
That's 3 horsepower
Exactly.
just for flow.
Because you don't want fuel, you want the air, you want the breathing,
Yeah.
so it ties into, that's the sort of thing you'd go
Brilliant.
after
We'll
against
do
what
that.
you've got here, which is very primitive.
Brilliant. The rear beam suspension, that's all going off the painting, I'm guessing.
So that's a bigger roll bar than was standard.
Oh, is
So
it?
yeah, that's off the Flavia.
It's also why I'm not at all interested in going back to standard
No.
on this. All I want to do is just make it as fun to drive as I can as a road car.
Yeah.
Don't care about originality
No.
at all.
No.
And there's my bit of orange.
Yeah.
That's the spring carrier there. Leaf spring at the front. They're a bit odd, aren't they? The way they have a leaf spring. There's 3 leaf springs on a Fulvia, and that one does the front suspension either side. So yeah, they're the Solex. They're tiny, aren't they?
No.
Compared to the Webers.
The Webers.
And that causes issues though.
Yeah, you can't, exactly, you've got to get the right inlet manifold to fit to accommodate it, and
Right.
also be very careful with heights. You know, these
Right.
things can sit quite proud next to you, close your bonnet and dink, you
And
get
that's
a
not
bar
good.
of your bonnet. But yeah, quite a bit
But-
bigger.
They're quite a lot of money, aren't they? Because I've seen
These-
kits. It's about 1,400 quid.
Yes, right,
1,500
yeah,
quid
exactly.
with the
Yeah.
manifold.
And with the manifold, yeah, definitely about £1,000 for a set of decent ones, new
1,000
ones.
quid.
But also the quality isn't always sort of as good as it could be these days. Like a lot of things that are repro,
Brilliant.
we do have
Well,
issues.
let's hope they clean up.
I know.
Yeah, I'm amazed how tiny. That's probably why they used it. It was
Yeah.
just these are so chunky.
Yeah.
So we have a few decisions to make, or I have, of
Yeah.
how far to go
Yeah.
with the body. I mean, it's same old thing with this sort of thing. You only want to do it once,
Yes.
really, don't you?
That's the main thing. Is that everything we've got off now, we're at a point where if you're going to do it and you're going to keep it, do it now. Otherwise, you'll only be going back there and revisiting something which you don't want to be doing.
Yeah, and I'm put into the back of my mind doing the rally in this Fulvia now, which was the original date and the reason we went into the engine, because there's other cars, the little Lotus Land or something. I just want to get this right, and what I've seen.
Well, there's the safety element, and also, as with everything is off now, if you want to get the body sorted out properly, then this is the time to do it.
And there's always this bit about the colour change, and I sort of wanted to do it because I knew once I've spotted the orange, I was hesitant on the red because that wasn't what I originally saw, but you know, you don't know if your mind's playing tricks, and it was an awful long time ago. Now I've spotted the orange, and then I'm really happy to do the orange on it. So what would happen next?
Something like this, everything's got to go back and we'll see what we're playing with. But so much work's been done over so much work, is that everything's got to come off it, take it all back and see what we're playing with.
It says a bare metal respray was done in year 2000, according to that.
We've really got to get everything back and see what that body's like.
Yeah.
And there's bubbling up on the roof, there's bubbling up on the doors, and because you've got so much paint and fill on it, you know, you could throw figures of £5,000 to £6,000 in, or you could throw figures up to £10,000. It doesn't really matter what car it is.
No.
The point is what we find when everything's off, and then go forward. So we've got to keep going back before we go forwards.
But we are in for 10,000, aren't we?
Yeah.
I would say on the body at least. Yeah, and the rebuild on top.
Yeah, the rebuild on top, and then also likewise with those components. Do you want that alternator going back looking that all shabby, or do you want it cleaned up? You know, that's everything's an extra time factor, which we can do. And really, you know, most like with the bolts, the passivation is that if you're going to be putting things back, we don't want to go mad.
Yeah, all bolts will be plated, etc. The one thing this car will never be doing is entering Concord Elegance and originality. Yeah. It's purely done for the drive. Yeah. But I only want to paint it once. I want to go back to orange. I want it to look right, and I want to be proud of it, and I want that lift in the engine. The mechanical bit for me is really important. So alternators, plating the bolts, that's all good. I'd love to do all that.
That would sometimes be sent away, shot blasted, you know, powder coated accordingly, epoxy primer applied, very important, otherwise things can lift.
Right.
But yeah, now it's all off, everything starts getting sent away before it all goes
back
together again.
Yeah. Well, thank you ever so much, Gordon. Take me through it.
So you get you back soon.
I'll have a stiff brandy tonight, and maybe we'll discuss in the morning what we're going to do. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that as well, sort of rundown of what's happened to the Fulvia. It looks as though it's going to continue a little bit longer than we expected, beyond the engine rebuild, which I sort of expected anyway. But if you have enjoyed this video, well, please keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming along very soon.